Good morning, everybody. Welcome to episode 35 of Two Guys, Zero Planners, brought to you by PenBBS. If you want fast, free shipping on orders over $50 and 10% off site-wide, because who wouldn't want that, head on over to PenBBS.com, click on that radio podcast link at the top of the page, and enter Two Guys in the How You Heard About Us section for your 10% off site-wide. Get that card up to $50, get free shipping in the U.S., and check out their Coming Soon section. That way you can always take a look at the rather controversial Pelican M200 in lime green, as well as some interesting things coming out from Opus 88 as well as Colorverse. But most importantly, thank you to PenBBS for sponsoring Two Guys, Zero Planners and pretty much every crazy project I do for some reason. Ron, we may want to talk about that at some point. But anyways, Urban, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you? Only killed one nib, I guess, in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's not going to be in the show notes. I mean, we'll talk about the pen, but we're not going to talk about the fate of the nib well, we can talk about the fate, but I'm not posting pictures. That's just too gruesome.
That is amazing how you even managed that. That is quite the feat.
Well, okay, I've had 3 titanium nibs in my life from Karas. All 3 of them have been broad. All 3 of them have had problems. And one got dropped onto the metal leg of a desk and a tine snapped off. Mm-hmm. One got dropped onto concrete and the nib snapped. And this week, while I was walking it into the kitchen to finish cleaning it, it dropped. And before I realized that it had dropped because I was carrying multiple things, I stepped on it. And people that watch like bicycle tricks and skateboard tricks know of this thing called a scorpion, where the legs go back up and over the head when a person crashes. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what my nib did.
Yeah. I'm not sure how you managed to step on it and make it bend that way. Yeah.
I honestly don't know either. I'm surprised that the body actually stayed in one piece. Mm-hmm. But I've gone over it multiple times to make sure there's no cracks in the body. And thank goodness the body is still intact. And Andrew Bailey had a spare fine Bach nib that he was gracious enough to sell me. So I got that yesterday, and the pen is back up and running.
So this is your second decograph, right?
Third.
Oh. So you had this crazy, I don't know, colored one. And what was the other one?
The other one was a plain black decograph. So that was my very first one. It had a broad titanium nib, and the nib was super dry, always hard started, and I didn't want to fuss with it, so I just sold it.
Okay.
The second one was the sea glass colorway, I think is what it was called. And that one I ended up selling, I think, either when I ended up in the hospital or one of my dogs ended up seriously ill. One of the two.
Ah, okay. So it's not like you didn't like the pen. It's just you needed the money.
Right. Honestly, that sea glass decograph is beautiful. And the person that owns it now is an extremely lucky person. She ended up getting a very beautiful pen.
Mm-hmm. Yes. She might be a pen pal of mine.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think she's a pen pal of mine too, come to think of it.
Yeah, she's a pen pal of everyone, I think.
Well, yeah, that is how the pen community works. And then this one, I'll go ahead and talk about it. This one was actually supposed to be a Karas Pen Club members only exclusive pen. And an additional pen was purchased for me by one of the pen club members. And then it magically ended up at my doorstep. So, yeah.
Totally by surprise and not planned at all.
Oh, totally by surprise. I mean, all those conversations that you saw in Slack arranging things for that pen, you didn't see those.
Sure. Yeah.
Yep. Nothing to see here.
Yeah. I like the design of the pen. Maybe next year I'll get one as well.
Or who knows, you may end up just buying it off of me.
As always, yes. I might get it next year as well then.
There is that. Wait, are you saying I take forever to ship things?
Well, I got a bottle of ink out of it, so it's all fine.
Yeah, that was kind of my way of saying thank you for not killing me. But yeah, I think I'm going to take that as a sign that I am not supposed to have titanium nibs or palladium nibs. Because the only nibs I have ever dropped and broken are palladium and titanium.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe they break easier.
I don't drop my other pens.
Okay.
Yeah, it's something about the nib that just makes me drop it for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the reasons you got that bottle of ink is actually because of the next thing on the show notes here, which is Colorverse Walk the Dog.
I must admit, I wouldn't mind owning a bottle of that as well. It's, yeah, I think I like them both Alt-Goldgrun and Walk the Dog. I think they are different enough that I would actually like them both.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say that you're wrong. But that's, like I said, if ink was Captain Kirk, I hit my mic again. If ink was Captain Kirk and we were going on which one is our favorite, Alt-Goldgrun is James Tiberius, and Walk the Dog is alternate universe James Tiberius. And I must say that I like an ink where I don't hear it talking to me like this when I'm writing with it.
Yeah, I got around that by watching everything dubbed as a kid. So I don't really. At some point, I need to really watch that a bit to hear this.
Wait, so you're saying the person who did William Shatner's voiceover didn't have the weird cadence when he delivered his lines?
No.
I suddenly envy you.
Nah, I don't know. In general, I'm not a fan of dubbed TV shows. That's all weird.
Well, okay, I could agree with you there. There is one exception. The Russian voiceovers for MASH, whoever was doing the dubbing for Alan Alda did a really good job doing the voice for Hawkeye Pierce.
Okay.
But yeah, back to the ink. Honestly, I like Walk the Dog in the sense that it's more vibrant and a little bit better behaved than Alt-Goldgrun.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely more green. I mean, I know Alt-Goldgrun is gold green, but still, I kind of prefer a more green.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy really light inks that other people would say they can't use in normal settings because they can't read them anymore. So, I mean, this is not quite as bad, but it sort of goes into that direction.
It kind of goes that way, but I would say both inks you could almost get by using in a professional setting, or at least I have used both in a professional setting.
Mm-hmm.
But the general consensus at the office is that of the two, it's actually split 50-50. So it's not a consensus. Half of them do like Alt-Goldgrun, half of them like Walk the Dog.
Okay, yeah.
Although we may want to move on from talking about that ink before my creatures actually think that I need to take them for a walk.
Mm-hmm.
Because I keep saying the W word, and now one of them is standing right next to me, looking right at me.
Yeah, that's the downside of naming an ink like that. But in general, I like the idea that finally someone doesn't name inks like by gemstones, right?
You say that as I had just gotten done inking up the decograph with Lamy Amazonite. I swear, it's like you planned that comment. It's like you're in my head. What do you think of the new 30 ml bottles, though?
I like the shape. I think they are cute looking. They're a bit different than anything else on the market, which is good, I think.
Okay, so you don't really miss the teardrop in that shape?
No, not really. I'm just happy that they actually do it like this instead of making you buy 2 bottles at the same time.
Yeah, that's definitely a good direction for them. Honestly, that's kind of why I put it the way I did in the video. I like the new bottle. Part of me wants to see it in a teardrop form just because that's Colorverse did it for the big bottles and the small bottles. But I guess it kind of makes sense for the 30 ml bottle to have a different shape.
Mm.
I mean, the price point's just killer, though. $12 for a bottle of ink. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. I mean, especially as they also start to release some of the existing inks in 30 milliliter.
Especially for all the people that are fans of Cat and want to see that ink
Yes, exactly.
kind of stand alone.
I need to ink up my sample at some point.
I need to buy a new bottle of it when it comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm glad the original bottle went to ink dependence, but the more I kept talking about it, the more I realized I liked that blue ink. So, yeah, it's been an interesting couple weeks. Two things ended up happening.
Mm-hmm.
The first, I ended up getting a new coffee grinder because I killed my old one.
Mm-hmm. So did it just break, or did you really kill it? I mean, do something.
Well, the plastic cap piece. Actually, no, it wasn't the plastic cap piece. It was both the plastic cap piece and the aluminum bowl piece actually started cracking.
Okay.
I mean, I'm a very heavy coffee drinker. I'll go through 5 or 6 cups per day at home, not including the 7 or 8 at work.
Okay. No, that's a bit more than I do. Yeah, but yeah, 5, 6 a day is fine.
Right. So a lot of coffee is being ground, and so my old coffee maker started cracking after about 1.5 years of use.
Mm-hmm.
So against my better judgment, I went to Amazon and found the cheapest one with the most reviews possible, and actually found a pretty decent one. So I'll link that in the show notes. I don't have it pulled up at the moment, surprisingly.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, let me see if I can find it really quick.
Yeah, we have this all-in-one coffee maker where you put in the coffee beans and it grinds it for you and makes you the coffee.
See, that is something I should get, but...
Yeah, I don't know. You drink even more coffee because it's easier.
Well, it's not that. It's that I go through coffee grinders so... Well, I don't know. I don't go through them enough to... I don't know. I'm also picky about how I make my coffee, so getting an all-in-one, I don't think I would like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, by now I'm happy enough by not buying the crappiest beans. That helped a lot.
Yeah, that
surprise.
actually did help. Yeah, I went ahead and put a link for the coffee maker in the show notes.
Multiple uses. Grind spices, nuts, herbs, pepper, seeds, grains, and more.
It actually does a really good job on spices. I gave it a try on some new rub. I'm getting ready to try on some pork loin that I'm going to be cooking this week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it did a really good job grinding that stuff up and mixing it.
Okay.
But yeah, for $16, $17, not a bad coffee maker grinder device.
Yeah, that's true.
And the second thing I ended up doing, because I'm a sadist, is I went to go ahead and install a third solid state drive in my computer and get rid of the platter drive, which led to me redoing my cable management in my computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a MacBook. There's basically nothing I can do in there these days.
Well, it's one of those things where I like being able to tweak things to my heart's content. And yes, I still want an iMac Pro, but that's a different story. But yeah, I realized that, one, I need to get new SATA cables because 2 of those SATA cables have right angles on the attachment, and I need them all to be straight SATA cables. And 2, I really like that case for a smaller mid-tower ATX case. It's actually got quite a bit of room in there.
I don't know when the last time was that I actually had a computer that wasn't a laptop. Must be, I don't know, more than 10 years.
There's two sad things about that picture where you can see the motherboard, like full on. So yeah, my graphics card in my desktop is only a GTX 1060. So yeah, I know. Horrible graphics. And yes, they are horrible graphics, but I had to buy that graphics card in a pinch. And yeah, that's only 32 gigabytes of RAM. Those are two DDR4 16 gig sticks.
Mm.
And yes, that Cooler Master is 7 years old. That is a 7-year-old CPU heatsink.
Yeah.
But it still does better thermal control than a lot of other heat sinks I've used.
And here I am working on an 8 gigabytes of RAM. But I'm not doing anything with video, so I guess that might be why.
You could still do video on 8 gigabytes. It would chug a little bit, but it would still be okay.
Mm.
The crazy thing, I'm still running an Intel 6700K. So for people that are hardcore Intel fanboys, yes, that is a 5-year-old CPU.
I mean, my previous laptop, it's 5 years old and it's just fine. I just got a new one because I switched jobs.
The only reason I can get by with it is the 6700K is the i7 series. If it was the 6600K, then yeah, it would be showing its age because it would be the i5 and it wouldn't be able to hyperthread. Mm-hmm. So at least I've got the 4 physical cores and then the 4 threads. And yeah, so all the videos and all the podcasts and stuff that we do, I edit on this computer. So that's kind of how it weaseled its way into the show notes.
Okay.
And that planner is actually becoming more useful than I was expecting.
To sort of plan out what thing gets released, I guess.
Yeah, it has definitely helped with release schedules and being able to offload a lot of stuff I was keeping trapped in my head has definitely helped with productivity and with me not forgetting projects as much as I had been over the last couple months.
Yeah, I always find it stressful when you sort of have to remember stuff because they're not written down anywhere. That sort of never works for me. I always have to write it down, and then I sort of feel better because I know I can look it up somewhere, even if I don't have to.
And I guess one last thing about me, and then we'll listen to you because I'm sitting here looking at my waveforms, and I've been talking way too much this episode, Urban. You need to tell me to shut up.
Well, you do the editing. I'm not sure I should do that.
Yeah, the way I do the edit, it actually makes it sound like you do a lot more talking than you really do. But yeah, I finally went ahead and did the video for my Christmas present / birthday gift. Yeah, I still love that pen. There's just no way around it. That M600 is just beautiful, and the fine cursive italic that's on it is a perfect grind.
Yeah, that is also a pen maybe or one of these 600s, maybe one for 2021 for me. Let's see. I'm sort of making a list already, and it's only January.
Well, let's see. 2017, Pelican did the silver on silver. Well, white on silver. 2018, they did the white on turquoise. And then 2019, they did the white on violet. Who knows? Maybe 2020 they'll do white on lime green. They already did it for the M200.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, what can I say? I'm going to hold a grudge against that colorway.
Yeah, but it looks like a great pen. I enjoy my M200s, and I got to hold the violet M600 when I met someone, and yeah, it's a nice pen. It's a nice size. When you met somebody? Oh. Yes. Oh, the next thing in the show notes. Okay, do tell. Yes, it sort of ties in. So, over New Year's, we went to visit friends in The Hague, in the Netherlands. It was like an 8-hour drive or so for us, which is sort of borderline, but it was okay to do. And yeah, it was a nice was a nice holiday. We stayed there for a week, maybe, and basically did nothing. So they are basically our best friends, and yeah, they did their thing, we did ours, and yeah, it's not like anyone really had a plan, which was kind of a nice holiday where we basically just sat there and someone explained cricket to me because the guy is Australian. And then, yeah, I also met up with Pauline. She's one of our listeners, and that might be fun for you, Yvgenii. She didn't even know about the other podcast I do. She's a listener of that one and only that one.
That is actually very intriguing.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And yeah, and she sort of brought a lot of stuff, a few nice pencils and gel pens and 2 notebooks. And I felt really, really bad because I didn't bring anything. And she bought me a beer even. So I don't know. I'll have to make a package, I think, in the near future and send her something as well.
Wow,
Yeah.
you got bribed with beer. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that was nice. It was nice talking to her. And afterwards, we also went to Ackermann because the store was like, well, 2 minutes from where we met. And I didn't buy anything there. I looked for the ink you were interested in, and even this time it was out of stock. So I would have bought that, but it wasn't there.
Wow. Is that going to be my luck every time you go there, that it's just not going to be in stock?
I don't know. I'll check again next time.
I'm shaking my fists at you, Ackermann. Stock my ink. Stock my ink.
Yeah, apparently turquoise is not only your favorite ink color.
Who would have thought? Turquoise being a popular color worldwide.
Who knew?
The fun thing is, I actually used to hate blue with a passion growing up. Yeah, like you could not pay me enough to own anything blue when I grew up. And yeah, now all of a sudden it's like my favorite ink. Like right now, of the 7 pens I've got inked up, one is Diatramentis Atlantic Blue, one is Lamy Amazonite, the other is Visconti Turquoise, and the other is KDBZ Walkover Vistula. Or Vistula, or however you say it.
I have no idea.
Well, I'm going to have to learn because I've got that planned for a video here in the next month or so.
Okay.
Yeah, I always do that to myself. I plan these videos without actually knowing how to say the item in question.
Okay, but I mean, this is a name that's probably not too hard to find out how it's actually pronounced.
Right. It's not going to be too hard to figure out how it's pronounced. Like, if you were to actually go through, I don't know, like the actual German pronunciations for even just the Pelican inks, I would probably still butcher those as well.
Well, at least it's closer than certain Korean brands and names, right?
Oh my goodness. The never-ending comments that I occasionally get for how I chose to pronounce Yangchong, which I just mispronounced it, Danxiong. There we go. Yeah. And the bad thing is I even asked a native Korean, hey, how do I need to pronounce this? And he's like, dude, we've been over this like multiple times. Yeah, he was actually the Korean foreign exchange student that designed the tattoo on my left arm.
Okay.
That way I didn't end up with a tattoo that said like, I like cat food in Korean. That would have been horrible, but I could have so seen one of my other friends like totally doing that to me.
Yeah. I mean, it should at least say I like dog food, right?
Yeah, I was about to say I'm not a cat person, so that would have been horrible if it had been a cat food reference. So, aside from getting to spend a holiday in The Hague, I see PenBBS on the list again. What happened?
Yes. So the one PenBBS I actually bought, but that was last year, so it's fine, I guess. It just arrived. after I came back. So that's the PenBBS 491. That's a fun new pen from them, and sort of the great thing about that one is that it has a lot of space in the cap, because some of the other PenBBS are really, really tight, and you basically can't change out the nibs because the PenBBS nibs are generally a tiny bit shorter than other ones, and so you would sort of mess up the nib if you switched it in there. But this one is especially designed to have a lot of space, so I could actually put in that crazy music Fude nib I got from another pen. Still have to ink it up though, but yeah, that's a fun pen.
So you normally like fine nibs, or finer nibs, I should say.
Yeah, I'm moving towards broad and Fude nibs and really fat ones. So it's changing.
What do you think was the biggest driving factor for you starting to make that change over to broader nibs?
Probably the inks. I mean, it just looks so much better if there's more ink on the page.
I definitely agree with you when it comes to like a shimmering ink, or maybe, I don't know, like one of the Robert Oster inks where you really have to get the ink super saturated on the page before you start seeing the sheen. But there are some inks that I regret not having like an ultra extra fine for that ink.
I mean, I still have those, so that's that's not much of an issue for me. Yeah, I don't know. It maybe it is also that the broader the nib, the faster the pen is empty. That's also always a nice feeling to empty a pen.
See, the best way for you to get through ink quicker is just start a review channel or something like that.
Yeah, or do it like have you seen the videos from Inky Rocks, where she pours the ink into water, or she sort of throws the bottles around with some ink in it, and that's the way to use up ink.
Well, that's kind of where I got the idea to do my intro video. The intro stuff for my videos was from that. I mean, even though it doesn't look like it, that was probably about 350 mil of ink that was thrown on the paper, which took 4.5 hours to clean up.
I can imagine.
Yeah, don't throw fountain pen ink around your house, people. It's not a good thing.
I guess so. Especially highly saturated ones.
Especially the highly saturated ones.
Yeah, that was the PenBBS 491, which I actually bought. And the one that I was tempted to buy, but in the end didn't buy, was the new PenBBS 500. That is sort of, yet another filling system by them. It is, I don't know, probably like a TWSBI Go, but the plunger is sort of retractable. It's sort of, you have to unscrew the rod for the plunger and then sort of screw it in again in the second position, and then you can sort of draw in the ink. And yes, it's a bit of a, I don't know why they decided to do that. Sounds fun, but yeah, didn't tempt me enough to actually break my resolution to not buy pens this year.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I like this pen, or at least I like the filling system. I think what I like about it, if the end piece is easy enough to unscrew to actually use the plunger system, is the fact that they've got that end piece tucked in, whereas on the TWSBI Go, it's kind of sticking out like a very fat, sore thumb.
Mm-hmm.
I like that tucked in look. It's very slim.
Yeah, it at least resulted in a fun discussion on Slack, because I don't know exactly how to pronounce her name. Yvgenii, who basically runs the Etsy store and the Instagram for PenBBS, she always does her demonstration videos by putting her bottle of ink on top of the keyboard of her laptop. I have no idea why, but that's how she does the filling videos. And there were some people who sort of had to comment, why are you doing this? Just imagine what happens when you tip the bottle and stuff like that.
That is a very dangerous game to play.
It is. It is. But she always does it. I don't know why.
Well, okay, to be fair, I do quite a few dangerous things with my pens too. Probably which contributes to why so many nibs end up dying, but still.
Yeah.
At least my dogs haven't eaten a fountain pen yet.
Mm.
That would be horrible if they did.
Yeah, especially with the ones you own.
Yeah, I only have 7 pens, all of which are currently inked. But that being said, you have more pens inked than I have actual pens in my collection right now.
Yeah, so my second resolution was to sort of have only one pen inked at a time. And I'm currently at 11. So I thought I'd track where I stand each episode so that I can see if I'm making progress. Yeah. So since last time, I actually wrote 2 pens dry. And now I started sort of to strategically switch out nibs to put the broadest nibs in the pens that are still inked so that I have a chance to write them dry at some point.
I don't know if that's smart or if that's cheating.
That is a question, yeah. I mean, I still use them and write with them. It's just that a tiny bit of ink gets lost because I sort of switch out the nib units.
Well, okay. If you figure that every pen can hold between 1 and 1.5 mil of ink per filling, and you buy a 30 mil bottle, I think you're okay. I think you can stand to lose just a little bit of ink.
Yeah, especially with the TWSBI Eco, I had a fine nib in it and it was almost full. And now switched it out for a broad. I think that will be much better. It's also much more fun to use.
That moment where fun to use is actually one of the key things that you look for in a fountain pen.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I could use a ballpoint otherwise, right? If I didn't want to have fun.
Well, and I mean, I know I kind of said that in a bad tone, but there was actually a turning point for me mentally where I went from fountain pens are utility to fountain pens are fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was about the second time I got drunk with a whole bunch of people and talked about fountain pens on the internet. I think that's when that turning point happened.
Okay.
But yeah, so what do you currently have inked up?
Let's check. So there's 2 PenBBS 469. So these are the double-ended pens. This one of them is sort of one of the 2 pens that has the rest of my Salzkreuzner Dark Orchid, one of the bottles I pretend I've already emptied, but there's still 2 pens inked with it. Yeah, the Opus 88 Omar is still kind of half full. I mean, that's like 2.5 milliliters of ink. I think that fits in that pen. So that will take a while. That's Diamine Pumpkin. And then I dropped another PenBBS with Diamine Pumpkin, and that is basically still full. So that will last quite a while. The TWSBI Eco. So I dug out my bottle of Lamy Petrol and discovered that it's actually a really nice ink. It's really wet and actually has a nice color. And in the broad nib also, there's also some sheen, which is nice. What else? Yes, the Platinum 3776 Nice Lila. I've inked that with Pelikan 4001 Blue Black. That's a fine nib, so probably, yeah, will take a while to empty. Even
That's
though
also an interesting color combination.
Yes, but it sort of works because they're both rather, I don't know, undersaturated, I guess. Because that's not a really saturated blue-black.
Fair point.
And sort of looking at my list, there's exactly 1 green ink in there, which is surprising. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blues. So apparently I like blue as well.
You know, kind of going back to the currently inked for a second, I have to stand corrected on one thing, and people are going to see that in the Krishna video that I'm going to do. Krishna Water Green is actually blue. I don't care what you say, it's blue. Yeah. I take pride in my videos being color accurate. So when people see the video, they'll see exactly what I mean. It looks like spot on Papier Plume Lake Michigan winter.
Okay.
But with much better water resistance. And I just gave away the entire plot of the video.
Just cut it all out, and that's fine.
Hey, everybody, this week on the Inktwell, end credits. My older brother commented on my subscribers being subscribblers.
Yeah, what did he say?
No, he just did the thing where he says subscribblers with a question mark, which when he only does a one-word question like that, that's his way of saying, okay, you've just confirmed you're an idiot. Why are you doing that?
Yeah, why are you doing that?
I blame Slack.
Okay, always a good choice, yeah.
Yeah, also some real-time feedback. I was asking for questions on Instagram before the show, and we got a comment from Anna. And you really think I'm going to put my pens near a coffee grinder? Come on. Even I'm not that crazy. I have a house rule. The pens have to stay at least 10 feet away from the coffee grinder at all times.
Yeah. Coffee and pens, that's not a good combination.
I no longer even let them near the garbage disposal. There may have been an accident.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen here because garbage disposal isn't a thing here.
This is the first apartment I've been in a long time where garbage disposal was a thing. So, yeah. But yeah, some real-time follow-up there. Just wanted to go ahead and get that snuck in there since it was kind of relevant. Yeah, don't let your coffee grinders get close to your nibs.
Yeah, one of the two will end up broken. That's true.
I mean, there's grinding down a nib, and then there's coffee grinding down a nib.
Yeah.
So, kind of the last thing before we tackle some listener questions here. Yeah, so I noticed something on my feed a little bit earlier in the week.
Yes.
Come on, man. Why did you go beardless?
I don't know. I was just curious. And my wife always says, never shave your beard. You look like 20 or something. And then at some point, every few years, I have to do it and see how I look.
I mean, aside from the fact that you've got some gray in your hair, yeah, you look like a young Silicon Valley programmer. Like,
Link
seriously,
in the show
man.
notes, yeah.
Like, seriously, what's up with that baby face, man?
Yeah, my wife always says, you don't have a chin. You need a beard there. Otherwise, it looks weird.
That's okay. I made my own mistake, but there's not going to be a picture in the show notes. I ended up shaving off my mustache and my eyebrows to match the rest of my head.
Okay.
And so I've got like an Amish chin strap going on right now. I literally walk into work and the first thing out of my coworker's mouth is, so did you get here on your horse and buggy today? And I was like, dude.
It's slowly growing back. A week more, maybe, and then it'll all be fine again.
Yeah, facial hair is just one of those things that takes way too long to come back in, so I don't tempt fate and potentially ruin it permanently. This mustache is going to take like probably a month to come back. It's going to be horrible. So, listener questions.
So the first one, I think, is from Carissa.
Yes, it's from
always.
Carissa.
So, favorite case for carting around stationery to write letters on the go?
Okay. This is actually going to lead into a much larger topic of daily carry, which is the topic for next episode.
Ah, good to know.
Yeah, it just magically appeared on the show notes somehow. But I carry a camera messenger bag / shoulder case. So I've got enough room in there for a blank slate paper notebook, an Endless Works notebook, 100 sheets of A5 Tamoy River paper, blank for letter writing, 50 envelopes, A5 size, and my stamps, along with my pen roll and a whole bunch of other stuff. Yeah, it's made by a company called Ape Case.
Okay. Yeah. So I work from home. So I most of the time don't even need something like that. But when I do, I use a messenger bag that someone actually from Canada left me when she moved back to Canada from Germany. It's like a leather messenger bag, like 1 inch wide maybe. And I just throw the stuff in there. So it's really, I don't know, it looks a bit like a briefcase, but it's really thin. And it just basically fits the paper, either bank paper or the Tomoe River, and a small folder with the letters and the envelopes and some kind of case for the pens or pencils, depending on what paper I use. And that's it.
Okay. I actually went ahead and put my case that I carry in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of fits with my whole philosophy of there's no kill like overkill. When it says you can fit a 17-inch laptop in there and still have room to spare, it really means it.
That's kind of big. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What kind of laptop is that in the picture? That must be like, I don't know. How old is that one?
Looking at the hinge style,
and
that's got to be like a 2007 HP.
Yeah, and the connector, for the display.
Yeah, you're right. That's still running a VGA connector.
Yes.
And nobody puts, wow, I didn't even notice that, but yeah.
And an Ethernet port, yeah.
Hey, my laptop has an Ethernet port. Thank you very much.
Okay, I have a Mac. It has nothing, basically. Yeah.
To be fair, though, you can get a pretty good throughput on Thunderbolt. So if you've got the Thunderbolt to Ethernet adapter, you're fine.
Yes, that's what I have.
I mean, I'll give Apple credit for one thing, man. They may make some of the most isolated hardware on the face of the earth, but the hardware for what it is, if you ignore the price, is good.
And I think if you really wanted something with maybe the same specs, especially the screen, then you're probably not paying less anyway.
Oh, dude, the screen is honestly where paying the Apple tax is worth it, because there is no better screen on a consumer product than on Apple products. I'm sorry. There's just, I watch enough tech videos that it's like I see all the new laptops coming out and the price points, and Apple still kicks everyone with the screen technology. So there's just no competition right there. At least on the mobile devices. On the desktop devices, yeah. But on mobile devices, it's Apple hands down 24/7, 365.
Yeah.
And this is coming from a hardcore PC user, people. So even I have to admit when something is good.
So the next one is from Nigel from the UK, one of my film camera buddies from the days where I actually shot. I used my cameras. I don't know. Maybe I need to use them again at some point.
You should. You really should.
Yeah. All right. So.
Yeah. So Urban, do you know of an ink pen friendly, like field note size notebook?
Yeah. So Nigel, looking at his images, he's basically, I don't know, using stacks of field notes. It's quite amazing. Yeah. So there are really fountain pen friendly notebooks in that size. But the question is if you really want that. Because if you have really fountain pen friendly paper, then the dry times are kind of long. And for such a small notebook that you probably use on the go, it's questionable to me if that is really the best. Right? Because then you sort of have to wait 20 seconds before you can sort of close the notebook again, which is on the go kind of annoying. So I wouldn't get the actual Tomoe River ones like the pedal stationery, but maybe something like the Fabriano makes the EcoQua in this tiny format. So that's somewhere not the most fountain pen friendly paper, but the dry times are much faster. And in the US, you can get all the fancy, I don't know, what is it, right? Notepads and stuff like that.
I don't know. My biggest thing with field notes is, I don't know. I mean, having a planner that size is fine. Yes, my planner is a little bit bigger than that. I get it, but still. Um, but for an everyday carry pocket notebook, because of what I carry, I just always step it up to an A5, which gives me much better paper options.
Yeah. And
So
more options in general, right?
right. So this is definitely why you would be the best person to answer this one, because I honestly, because of my thoughts on pens and carry, I just don't have a good answer. Maybe once I try some pencils, which a listener is sending me, I may be able to say something, but that still wouldn't be able to give me an answer on fountain pen friendly.
Yeah, so I would suggest the Fabriano ones. They're a bit plain, of course, but they're also pretty cheap. And yeah, the paper is, I assume, better than field notes. I've never tried a field notes, I must say, because they're a bit expensive over here.
Well, they're definitely better quality than Moleskine.
Yeah. Let's not talk about that.
Nobody ever wants to talk about Moleskine.
No.
So, last question here. There's lots of aftermarket solutions such as nib grinds, urushi finishes, feed and nib modifications. What aftermarket pens do you own? And if you didn't have financial constraints, what would be your ideal aftermarket modification?
Yeah. So I do own a few nibs that have been ground, but that's basically all from that list. No funky feeds and no finishes or whatever else you can have.
What would you
Yeah.
I mean, what would you go after though? Like, what's one of the things that you kind of want to try or experiment with?
I mean, one of those Kakunos that have been modified would be fun, right? There's Eric in Japan who does those little landscapes basically on the bottom of the clear Kakuno. That's some of the people from Slack. They did a group buy on that. That sounds fun. I think there's also a Fine Writing International that one of the clubs in Japan did. So yeah, maybe something like that, but I'm not entirely sure. I don't quite at this point would want anything like that.
This is kind of one of the harder questions to answer, but it's also one of the reasons I wanted to like toss it in there. I don't know. I mean, as far as aftermarket pens that I own, the Pelican M600 is aftermarket. The Angel's Delight is aftermarket. Let's see. The Decograph was new. Charleston was new. The Vanishing Point was new. And the M800 was new. And the Atelier Lusso was new. So I guess those would be the Pelican and the Sailor are the only aftermarket ones that I have. Which the M600 has that custom FCI grind on it, which is amazing. The Sailor is just a standard hard medium nib. So it's a good nib in its own right. As far as if I didn't have the financial constraints, what would my ideal aftermarket modification be? That's kind of a tough one. I would like to have actual turquoise from Arizona ground up and mixed into an urushi and have a turquoise powder urushi done on top of a Pelican. That would be my dream modification. So Pelican M800 with a crushed turquoise urushi.
Yeah, that does sound pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and for that one, I would also like to bribe Pelican. I mean, because we're saying financial constraints don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
I would also like to bribe Pelican for a rose gold 18 karat nib.
Mm-hmm.
I think that with the crushed turquoise, if the Urushi was done right, would be a perfect combination.
Yeah, that sounds really, really awesome. That's true, yeah.
Which is one of the reasons it'll probably never happen.
It's Pelican after all.
Yeah. Well, actually, I mean, with it being Pelican, who knows? Maybe someone over there will get a wild hair and decide, hey, I heard about this crazy pen design. Can we get a whole bunch of crushed turquoise?
Yeah, one of those really, really limited editions.
Yeah. That would be, I would have to make sure that I could buy it at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. We've been going for quite a while here. We should probably wrap it up.
Yes, we should.
So definitely thank you guys for listening this week. If you want to get your questions in on the show, then you can either post a comment to one of our posts on Instagram.com/2guys0planners, or you can email us at ask2g0p@gmail.com. As always, you can catch us on your podcast player of choice, which if you're listening to the sound of my voice means you probably have already done that.
Mm-hmm.
But have you given us a comment or a like on that podcast player of choice? If not, that'd be awesome. Aside from that, though, if you want to catch episodes early, we do now release these episodes 3 to 4 days early on our Patreon, which is actually patreon.com/theinktwell. Other than that, it's been a pleasure, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Right. Bye-bye.